Hello, designers. This is Rebecca with your assignment 3 in the studio critique. This is one of my favorite assignments to go over, so I'm very excited to be with you today. Let's go ahead and check out the assignment overview. In this one, you were to create designs for 2 types of music media from your genre's era. So, using the research that you've collected, you were going to all design a 12-inch vinyl LP 4-panel cover with a lyric sheet insert and the round labels for the record. Uh, then, based on whichever genre that you chose, you could either design one more of the following options: an 8-track design, a 7-inch single record, or a cassette tape, or a CD. So you were to turn in all of these different uh, formats of your designs. So some of them are trimmed, some of them show the bleeds and crop marks. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. So first up is James. So here is James' mock-up. It's looking really nice. Excellent. And here is the outside, front and back. Really good. That looks good. So I see that you use the template, which is fantastic. I'm happy to see that you filled in your flap with a color and that your photo background is extended into the bleed area. So very good job there. Um, there is a little bit of stuff going on with this spine. I can see the red line here. So your photo needs to come all the way up to that red line, and then it looks like your title may need to be a little bit smaller to give you a tiny bit of space around the fold there. And then this part here, I'm just looking at, I'm wondering if this is part of I think this is part of your template. So make sure that you also have the record label company on the spine and make sure that you have your band name on the spine, okay? And then over here, I can see that, part of the template is showing through, and that's okay with me for this one. So yeah, looks cool. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. There we go. So now it's trimmed. Yeah. So you can see here that there is like a black line along the top. That should go away and it shouldn't extend over into your spine. Here, with the template turned off, it looks like you have a little bit of margin underneath the title of the album, but um, unfortunately, like with the cover, sorry, with this version, it's we can see that that is where the fold is going to be. So I do recommend just shrinking that a little bit and adding the name of your band. So as far as the design goes, it is so sick and I love it very much. I love this reference to the creation of Adam. I think it turned out really cool. Um, the Photoshop, the Photoshopping is very beautiful and the texture that you created is, pretty fresco. I think there's a little bit of strangeness that happened while you were sort of masking out the background because there's some chunks kind of missing from the suit here. And so I don't know, that could be part of the fresco effect, but I don't know if that's just my Photoshop eye or if it is intentional. Also, this being, I'm just looking at my fingers here. Let me try to make the same gesture. Okay, so this pinky is sort of getting lost up here. So I don't know if that accidentally got a bit deleted because as is now, it's looking like they only have 4 fingers or so. I know that this is part of the finger. So just revisit the original photo and see, if there's a way to recover part of that and maybe some of the edges a little bit. Because I love the look of this hand. I feel like this is more fresco than these chunks kind of missing. Um, Yeah. And then there's also a little bit of white showing under here. So just a little bit of cleanup just on those parts. But Textured wall in the background is really beautiful. One more thing that I do recommend is that it is very flat, and that is because there is nothing in this. Oh my God, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. There's nothing in this image on the right panel that is purely black and purely white. So I do recommend upping your contrast, and not by using the contrast slider, but instead by using either your levels or your curves adjustment panel. And then in those adjustment panels, you will find a white eyedropper, and you can go in there and click on the lightest part of this cuff here, because that's probably going to be the brightest part of your of this whole image here. Like there is a nice highlight on her finger, but I think the cuff is going to be the best place. And then you'll instantly see a really nice pop of contrast happen. So you want to have some true blacks in the shadow here of this hand, and you want to have true whites in the highlights and in the cuff of the white shirt. Um, you may have to, it looks like some of these pieces are kind of collaged together. So if this image is still flat, because this one has less contrast than this image over here, then you may need to create a mask for this hand and adjust that adjustment for either the curves or the levels individually just on that mask of the hand to bring it out more too. Okay. Then I think everything else looks great. The logo placement is good. I like the big title down here at the bottom. Uh, yeah, it's looking good. You could move this logo over here because there is more negative space to give you a little bit of room between that hand and the B, the green there. But it's not, totally necessary. It's not like a must be done thing. Then over here in this image, I am also not seeing any true rich blacks. I am seeing bright whites. So I recommend doing the same thing with that white eyedropper. And then if the whites get too bright and you lose a lot of your detail in the whites, then just pull the whites back on the slider that you'll see in the histograms, whether you use levels or curves, and just keep the shadows super dark, nice black, rich blacks. Okay, great. All right, and here's your inside. Yeah, this is way cool. I like this a lot. Really nice. And all the bleeds look great. Excellent. You could even include this part in the spine here, because that will show on the inside fold. Okay. Meaning, just connect these two or don't cut that part out or whatever. Excellent. Okay. So here are our lyric sheets. This is good. And here's the trimmed. Okay. So with this trimmed version, notice that we have this hiccup right here. And I'm just pointing that out because it doesn't look intentional. So I just want to give you a heads up that that's showing. Yeah, I see it here too. Okay. And plus, this is not quite the same because we have this black flap here. So this part of this black flap might show. I think what's supposed to be happening is that the whole thing's supposed to be white, because it looks like that gray. Nope, never mind. Okay. It looks like you have like a 16th or, less than an eighth of an inch of gray showing on this panel here. And so that should be reflected, I'm sorry, in this option too. So this should be a super little thin slice of gray around it. And then the gray also needs to be here too and even. So you would just, instead of making those flaps black, make them gray, the same gray. Okay. So let's look at the layout. I think it's really cool the way you combine these two fonts. This is really lovely font pairing. Looks really nice. I like this layout with these columns. Really clean. And I like how you have the titles stacked over here, and then you've made the two columns come below that header. That's lovely. All right. So what I'd like you to do is, so you only have one title that has one line of text. Oh no, I'm sorry, you have X to C too. All right, so with these ones, I recommend aligning them along the same line as the first word in these other titles, and it's okay to have some extra space, negative space below that then. So instead of nudging it down, nudge it up so that they're all aligned on one single row, like this. And then I need you to go through and look for orphans, okay? So right here, the word fly is an orphan. An orphan is when you have one word on a line by itself that is less than 7 characters. Actually, it could be 2 words too, like it is or something like that. Um, as long as you count the spaces and the punctuation too in those characters. So right here you have one. So the way to fix that is to do a hard return before the word before it. So that's when you hold down Shift and hit Enter, and it goes boop, and it drops down to the line below it there. And you would do the same thing here with fly, or you could select this whole row of text, and then you could adjust your tracking to a negative amount up to -25. I don't recommend going any squishier than that because it gets too hard to read. So if you adjust your tracking maybe -10 points, and that might allow for the word fly to run back, we call that a run back, when it jumps up to the line above it to meet with its, friends up here. Okay, so just go through and look at these words that are by themselves on the second line and see if they're orphans. And so that's what, like I said, you can either do a hard return to drop the last word of the line above down with the word below it, or you could try to select it all and do negative tracking up to -25. Okay. Yeah. And then, sorry, my thing is just jumping. Okay. Let me go back. Beep. Okay. And I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more. I've lost control. Okay. Great. Then, if you have something like this one, this is called, hold on, let me just clarify before I tell you. It looks like this is supposed to be with this line down here. And so if you have that, we call this a widow. So an orphan is when it's a little small word or 2 small words on a line by itself at the bottom of a paragraph. A widow is when a line from a paragraph is by itself at the top or bottom of a column or page. So we want this to join this paragraph. So there's 2 ways you can fix this. You can either do a hard return to jump this up to the next column, or you can do the same thing that we did with the orphan, is select these 2 lines and change your tracking to a negative amount up to -25. Great. Then I think that's it. I just want you to get everything aligned so they match. Like, notice this page is shifted up a little bit, and it should just fall right in the same line as the one next to it. And I think that's easy enough for you to fix there. Uh, then stoppa. Okay. Then this line here, it looks like this group is lower than this group over here. So just create some guides in your software by, going up into your ruler and clicking and dragging down with your selection tool to create these horizontal guides to make sure that everything is aligned where it should be. Okay, excellent. All right, zoom out here. Okay, so here we have our label. Looks pretty good. I don't know. Let me see the next slide. Oh, yeah, that's correct. Okay, great. I was going to say it's hard to see if this is the trim line or the bleed line, but it looks like it's the bleed line, so we're good there. Yeah, this looks fantastic. So any adjustments you make to increase that contrast of that image on the cover, I would make that here too. And we do good. We do have our track list. It looks good. I feel like you have room to make that logo for your band larger, but you don't need to. It's just that that's pretty tiny on that label. Like it's going to be about more like that size, and we really lose the N there. So, making it bigger would be good. Great. All right. Well, this is way cool that you did all this printing and scratching and scanning. I love it. I love like a get your hands in it project, and I think it turned out really beautifully. I was just assuming that the textures were added digitally, and I didn't even say anything about how good they look, and they do look fantastic. So that's awesome. And you can still, no need to go in and, do any more of that manual process. It's perfect as is. It just needs some photoshopping to adjust that contrast to make it crispy, and really, really, explode. You're going to like the way it looks, I'm sure. So I didn't see a second music medium, but I'm really happy with this first one. So thank you so much. Next up is Myra. All right, so here's our mock-up. Very nice. And here is the great. Okay, so on this one, I do recommend continuing some color down into this area. Even if you just sample your background color and just fill it in solid, that's going to look better than if any of this white was to accidentally show in the printing and cutting process. I don't think it would because your bleed does come down here and it's not required to fill in this tab, but I've seen a lot of pros do it. So if it's good enough for the pros, it's good enough for me. I'm just going to look at the trim part. Great. So as you can see by the color of your background of the slide, that there are not really any super true dark blacks in the design itself. And so, like her hair is very close, but look at how dark the black is in your font. Do you see that? You see how, I mean, like maybe there's a little bit showing up here and a little in her eyelash, but for the most part, it's still just a super dark gray. There's also no white. This is getting there, you know what I mean? But if so, what I recommend when an image doesn't have any true blacks and true whites in it, our eyes will glaze over it. So even though there's this pop of red that's exciting and eye-catching, um, we really want contrast in black and white images to grab attention. So I do recommend going in to the image of her and at least, you don't really need to go in with the background. I think the background's fine the way it is, but the image of her in Photoshop, you can just use either your levels or curves adjustment panel. And in those adjustment panels, in either one, they have a white eyedropper. Grab that white eyedropper and click on the whitest part of this image. So that might be this like sort of reflection on the fret here. It may be, on these metal parts instead, just something white. If there's no white in the actual photo, um, still just give this a try and see how you like it. And then you can, on the histogram in either one of those, once you click on that light part, you can adjust the white part of the slider to get it where you like it. But like, I'm not expecting her skin to, turn out super white or anything, but there are little highlights in this guitar and even her lip that will just punch, once you do that, okay? The other thing about using the curves or the levels adjustment panel is that you will also get some true blacks in the darkest parts of her hair and even in these shadows down here. And you'll see a big difference. It's just gonna really come out of the screen at you when you do that, okay? Then if you have some super punchy whites in here and you wanted to balance that a bit, then you could just turn up the white on this tear here so that it matches the white, sorry, it matches the white in your text like that. Okay, because right now it looks like your opacity is just turned down, so I would just crank that up because usually you can't, well, no, yeah, okay. But leaving these gray is fine. All right, so I'm sorry I went right into that contrast talk and didn't talk about what's working really beautifully. I love all these layered textures. They're gorgeous. I really like your font pairing. I think it turned out really nice. The scale of all the text is really good. This text here, you got to rotate it 180 degrees. So we usually read from the top down instead of from down up. Do you see that? So just rotate it so that bitter is up here and it's facing the other direction. Okay. Don't mirror it, rotate it 180. Then, yeah, that looks good, really good. Oh, be sure to add the logo for your record company on the back of the album, okay? It could also be in the spine too, if you want. Excellent. So, this is cool. I really like what you've got going on here for the inside, and I think this is a nice little message. One more time with her, like it looks like she has some white in her pants here that you might be able to click on, but like the white in her eye, if you get that contrast up, it's going to look really cool. And then, we'll have more black shadows, but no need to do anything to the background. I think it looks great. That white guitar will pop as well. Excellent. Oh, sorry, I didn't even look at, yeah, good. Trims look great. Excellent. Good. And then here is our lyric sleeve. Good. Cool. Okay. So, um, I like the bitter core in the middle, and the use of the columns looks really nice. Let me get to the trimmed version. Great. Okay. Great. So I was concerned about your margin here because it looks like it's right next to that trim line, but on this version, it looks okay. The margin at the top is really tight, so I do recommend trying to get yourself a half inch up there at least, and I think you can do it without having to get smaller on the text. I'm just looking here, so that looks good. So this first page looks good. This page over here, we have a big gap over here, right? You may consider like if you can find a picture of a guitar like the one that she's like sitting on, and like placing it here or something. Not that negative space is terrible, but this is pretty big compared to what we have over here. So that's one option, is like adding a visual element, some little visual interest. Another option is to um, adjust the columns so that the text wraps, the columns basically stop around here on this page. So that's going to push this text down because these are going to jump up. You know what I mean? So coming up about a quarter of a quarter of the page to get these four columns to go like this, so that your gap is down here instead of over here. Then it's okay if they're not like in a perfect line along that. If they're a little bit jagged, that's totally fine. I think breaking them, you know, at these natural places, these natural, paragraphs is going to look the best as opposed to like having two of the lines jump up there. Sorry, losing my mind. Let me, okay. And then just adjusting the margin on this part too. See how we have a little extra space and stuff. Okay, beautiful. This background is way cool. I like that a lot. Sorry, one more thing. The titles could be treated a little bit differently. They could be all caps to stand out a bit. You could put them in this text, if this font, if you'd like. They don't have to be, but it would, like, just bold is not really, like, bold and a couple points larger than these headers is just not quite enough to grab you. You know what I mean? Good. This looks really nice. Great. So I see written by Lupe, but a um, I don't see a logo for the record company that produced this album. So I do recommend adding that. You could bump up the side A and side B and place the logo below that there, and that would be totally fine. You could place the logo around here, whatever, wherever you want to stick it. But as far as the bleeds and trims go, that looks really nice. Be sure to also cut your circle out on the trimmed version. Doop, doop. Okay, in the center, just in the center. Awesome. So now we have a CD. It's looking really nice. So any changes that you make to the artwork on the album, make here too, okay? That looks great. If you add the record company, oh, sorry, no, that's the inside of the CD. No, I'm sorry, that's the back. I got confused. Um, good. So our cover is always going to be on the right side, the front cover, and then the back is always going to be on the left side. Excellent. And good. I think that's great. Excellent. All right. So the backgrounds turned out really nice. They're so beautiful. I love all the texture. I love this like watercolor feel. So I'm glad that you were able to create all of that. And I'm totally down with you using Procreate for that. I think it's great. I understand the frustrations with drawing and transferring from Illustrator over to InDesign. Um, and both of those things, both of those obstacles are just can be fixed by just practicing more. You know what I mean? So you'll overcome that discomfort by just doing it more times. That's all it takes is a little bit of repetitive action. You know what I mean? So I hope that you don't let it stop you from doing those things. We have to push through the discomfort when we're learning new stuff. And if you love Illustrator, I know that at a time you felt that way about Illustrator probably when you first got in there. Same with Procreate, Procreate's a little easier to jump into, I think, than Illustrator, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah, just repetition. It'll get you there. I promise. Okay. You did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. But next up is Jennifer. All right. Great looking mock-up. Really nice. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Good stuff. So Jennifer, you may be able to find a mock-up that allows you, sorry, I'm just jumping through these, to show the record, this record, with the covers and sleeves as well. So just a heads up that they all look very nice. So here is the lyrics. Oh, okay, sorry. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, I'll come back to the lyric sheet. Great. So this looks good with all of the bleeds and everything. Excellent work there. All right. So I'm a little confused about looking. Okay. Okay. We have this gray box around it, so that's what I was getting confused about. So in your final, just be sure to get rid of that gray background. So it's just the trim. So as far as the design goes, it's awesome. It's really cool. I love all of these different like ink things everywhere and all of the texture of the crinkled paper, all the little smiley faces. Like there's so many layers here that just turned out really cool. I love like the painting onto the photo. It looks really good. And this one little punch of purple in the logo is also really nice. So yeah, it's really great, really cool. And I think it's really illustrating the concept of the name of the band. So I think you did a lovely job there. Really cool. Really nice choices there. This looks good. Looks good. Usually you want to move one of these like near the center of the spine, whether it's the name of the album or the band name. And then sometimes you'll notice a tiny little symbol at the bottom of the spine that is like the record company's logo or part of the record company's logo. So you could do something like that too if you wanted to. This looks really great here. Nice work. And I love the layout of the tracks and now you made a little super script of the numbers. That's great. This is lovely. Really nice. Super grunge, super David Carson. It's lovely. And I like these shadows like overlapping of the band members. That's way cool. Yeah, that looks really good. Good job. Really nice. Beautiful. All right. Let me go back to the um, deep inserts real fast. Okay, great. Where are the, okay. Okay, cool. So it's like a little open thing. These silhouettes are way cool. The shadow silhouettes. I love it. I love this. Really cool. Yeah, the layout looks fantastic. Let me just get my fine-tooth comb in here. All right. So a lot of this looks very intentional, but I do have to point it out in case it's not. You have a bunch of orphans, and I see at least one widow. So what those are is an orphan is when you have when you have a word or two that equals that's 7 characters or less on a line by itself. So these, the word whole and the word soul are both orphans. And down here you've got, I think it says above, show. It says show, sorry, and shows mind. Um, some down here, edges, pages. So since this is so like Carson influenced, I feel like you could kind of get away with these orphans, but just for your graphic design knowledge. Beep, boop, beep. Uh, I just want you to know, how to do it correctly, quote unquote. So what we can do to fix these is you can either um, do a hard return before the word above it, in the line above it, the last word in that line. That's where you hold down shift and hit return, and it makes that word jump down to the next line without creating a space, like an extra line space to a new paragraph. The other option is to make it run back. So you could select the whole 2 lines and then change your tracking to a negative amount up to -25. I don't think you should go any less than that, like as far as like don't go to -40 or anything, because then it gets too squished together. It's hard to read. But do it in the smallest increments possible. So try -5 first, then -10, -15, up to -25, and then that should squish them together enough to get that word to run back up to the line above it. Okay, so those are the 2 options to fix that. Now here, wait, where was it? I saw a widow, and now, oh, here it is. This one right here. Who is behind the scenery? I think it says. It looks like that's supposed to be with this line here. And so right here, if you were to fix this orphan, the word call, by reducing the tracking and having call run up to the line above it, that would then pull this line down to be with its partner here, right? If you can't do, if you, making your tracking negative for the 2 lines above it doesn't make call run back, then instead you would do a hard return before the, so it comes down to the call at the bottom. Then you're going to need to do another hard return to get this line to jump up with its partner up here. So what a widow is when a line of a paragraph is by itself at the top or bottom of a column or page. And that's what's happening with this one right here. All right, excellent. Everything else though is lovely. I like this font pairing a lot. I like the texture in the background again. I think the imagery is really cool, and I love this little extra smudge. And these, I love it. Very cool. We talked about these. Then this is the vinyl sleeve of, I'm thinking, a 7-inch. I'm getting confused. Okay. Hold on. We have so much happening. What? Okay. I think we just have some extra stuff. Okay. So then here we have our labels. They look awesome. I love the purple used here to kind of play off of the cover. Really nice. I like the logo down here, like stamped in. That looks really cool. Really good. Perfect. And let's see it trimmed. Great. Perfect. Lovely. Okay, so now we have a CD cover. Okay, so that's what I was looking at. Maybe not. I'm going to keep going. Oh, we have a little green on this one. Awesome. Really good. So any changes that you make to the album, to the record, then make those here too, okay? Yeah, that looks really nice. Good mock up there. Great. Looks good. Good. I'm surprised there's not a spine for this template. That's okay. Oh, cool. Okay, so it's like a little poster they can open up. Awesome. Great. Okay, so for the CD, uh, since this is just a single CD, right? It's not like you open it up and there's two CDs inside. We don't have a side A and a side B label for a CD. It's just one. So on this CD, you can get rid of the side A and side B. You can get rid of one whole CD label. We just need one. I don't know why it says A and B. I'm sorry. And then you also do not have to include the track list on a CD, but you're welcome to. You just need to combine them both together, okay? All right, great. Let me just look at one more thing real fast on these that I didn't notice until just now. Okay, so on these, oh, same thing. Sorry, that's still a CD. So get rid of one of those CDs. We just have one CD and it only has one side. Okay, yes, okay, good. So I was just checking to see if these were 1 through 6 and 7 through 12. Good job. Great. I think that I kind of touched on almost everything that you mentioned here while I was talking about your work. And so, yeah, it is a long assignment, but you did a really great job and you created a lot of designs. I think you may have created like two extra designs, but that's okay. And all of it looks so good. I don't think it's too chaotic, and I don't think it needs to be more chaotic. I think it's like a perfect mix. I also don't think it's too much like black and white. Um, I think that's like what printing is, for the most part. Like there's a lot of just black print on white paper, and I didn't see a ton of white in yours. It feels like there's a lot of uh, values still, you know what I mean? Like tonal values of colors and shades. So I think you're okay there. So I love it. Thank you so much. Great work. All right, next up is Emily. Here's Emily's fun mock-up. I love the yellow vinyl. It looks really great. Great. Okay. Okay. All right. Um, okay, so let's go on back to this real fast. So the spine is going to go in the middle here, and it's going to this background design will doesn't have to, but can bleed across, you know, that spine. It does, but like I said, it does not need to. This dimension though of the spine does not look correct. It's going to be about half as thick as it's what you have here. So just a heads up, you're going to have to make this a little bit, your text a little smaller. Okay. Um, then the front of the album cover is always on the right side of your template, and the back of the album cover is always on the left side. So just a heads up there. I can't tell which is the front of the album cover. I think this is the front, right? So I do recommend having at least the either the album cover name, I'm sorry, either the album name or the band name on the front cover. Okay. Um, and then we don't need the word by in there, but you can leave all this other, your track list, and this stuff looks really great down here. Okay, good job there. Sorry about that. Okay, excellent. All right, this is really cute. I love it. Very nice. That looks really good. Really nice. Great. Great. All right. So when we say trimmed on your final thing that you send in, you don't need these dotted lines around it, okay? And you can just make them touch them, make the two panels touch, okay? Great. Great. Cute layout. This is really nice. I love like um, oh, sorry. I love these lines here. The photos cut out look really nice, and it's really fun how you place them in the columns. And then looking at the columns, I just have to zoom in a bit. Okay. Stop. Sorry, I'm fighting with Acrobat here. Great. Okay. Great. Let me just look around for a second. Okay. So there are a few things, and so far every student has had these. So these right here, this little word by itself here, whenever you have one or two words at the end of a paragraph on their own line that is less than 7 characters or less. So that includes spaces and punctuation. We call that in the graphic design world an orphan. So, and that's like a formatting no-no. So there's two ways to fix it. You can either place your cursor before the last word on the line above it and do a hard return. That's where you hold down the shift key and then hit return so that you don't get an extra line space like you're making a whole new paragraph. It just forces that word to jump down to the line below. Or you can go the opposite direction and try to run this word back up here to the line above it. So we call that a run back. And to do that, you select the two lines of text, you highlight them, and then you go to your tracking and you adjust your tracking in a negative amount up to -25. So I don't recommend going any further than -25. And you do it by the least amount of the lowest increments possible. So first you're going to try -5, and if that doesn't get it to jump up, then you'll try -10. And if that does work, then you leave it there. So you don't have to jump directly to -25. The further negative you go, the more squished together your letters are going to be, and the harder they'll get to read. So that's why I recommend -25 at the most, okay? So if you're trying to do the -25 and that's not enough to get that word to jump back, then I recommend doing the hard return instead and dropping that last word down on the line below it. So then what you'll do is just go through and check out all the places that you have these orphans. There's quite a bit in here, and that's okay. It's normal for this page when you're working in skinny columns like this, and when you're working in almost like a stanza format, it's going to happen. Okay. So yeah, so go ahead and just go through and check them out, see if you can fix those. And then the other thing I recommend is you did a nice job with your font pairing and making your headers nice and big and easy to read. You have some fun colors here to play with. So, consider changing the names of changing your song names to one of these colors down here, to just change it up a little. See what it looks like in the blue. If it's not easy to read in the blue, then try it in, one of those other two options there. Okay? Just for fun. You don't have to do that, but just an option. Great. Oh, cute. This is really nice. I love this background design. It's very good. It's looking great. Really good. It has everything it needs. So then on this trimmed version, sorry about that. Okay, this is the trimmed version. You're going to also want to punch the circle out of the center where the hole is in the middle of the record. Okay. Oh, cute. This is fantastic. I'm so happy to see a cassette tape. Looks really good. I love the orange tape too. Really nice. Great work. All right, looking good. Okay, so this is looking good. It looks like we just missed the making lemonade on the album cover. So I'm happy to see it here, and this looks really good. This is very cute, and I'm happy to see that uh, barcode. Great. All right. So with these, I'm thinking your margin is very tight. You have a lot of room over here to nudge to give yourself a wider margin. So maybe see what it looks like with like a 1/4 inch margin. If that's too much, then try an 1/8 inch on this left side. Sorry about that. Same with on all 4 of these panels here. But with this one, you need to have it on both sides. So you may need to, this paragraph might end up dropping down another line, but it looks like you do have room. So I think you'll be okay. If that happens, you may need to bump the paragraph up a smidge or something. Okay. And I'm just talking about the margins on the left and right of each rectangle of each panel. You have a very tight margin along the top, but that's okay. You can leave that one because you don't have a lot of room to go to move it down. You know what I mean? So good. So go through this again and see if you have any orphans. This one doesn't look like there's as many orphans because your columns are wider, so they're allowing for that. So that's good. If you do change the color of your song titles on the album cover, then I recommend doing it here too, because why not? Why not? You could also do something fun with this space, like bring in that lemon design or something just for fun, since we don't really have it in this panel. I mean, in this layout, and it's very cute. Well, I am so happy that you enjoyed this project, even though there was some tough things that happened, it sounds like, and I get it. I've done all of this stuff too myself, but I didn't have a steep learning curve with a J card for the cassettes because I grew up with those. Um, However, it doesn't look like you had a steep learning curve. You did a great job. Like I would have never guessed that you didn't, really know how that was laid out. So fantastic job. It's really nice. Just a few little orphans and just, optional aesthetic changes, and you're good to go. So great work. Excellent. Next is Kieran. All right. Whoa, this turned out so cool. Wow, really nice. I love it. I love this illustration. It is incredible. Very nice. Okay, really good. Let me zoom out a bit here. Okay. This is so beautiful. The color palette is just so good. Like I love it. I love the yellow and blue in the background, and just these gradients in the skin is so cool, and the nails. Oh, crazy. I love it. So the only thing I recommend is like considering moving your logo up into this corner or down here. Um, I do like how this is down here. So I'm thinking that I'm sorry, that the logo might work better in that upper corner. And then giving yourself a track list somewhere over here. Like I don't want to obviously overlap any of the face. But I feel like you do have enough negative space over there that you could fit in a small track list and potentially the logo of the album company that produced the record. Okay, really nice. All right, cool. So this is on the inside. You've got our underdog here. Really cool. I like this glowing butterfly with the glowing, ooh, the reflection. Stop it. I'm dying. Okay, got it. So we have our track list on the inside, so we don't need it on the back, but I think we do need this on the back. So just, yeah. Okay, great. Really cool. So cool. Really amazing. Sick. I love it. I'm going crazy. Beautiful work. Really nice. This color palette is just so cool. Okay. So let me zoom in on the text here. So I love your illustrations. Perfect, flawless. Let me zoom in. The trimmed version is going to be trimmed here too. So on your final, when you turn in the trimmed version, just slice off this part. So I'm just seeing like what you'll see on the outside of it. All right, so with this, everything is perfect. Good work. So I don't see any orphans or widows, which is great. I love how you changed the color of your song titles. Um, the only thing that I do see is that it looks like some of these, the font size is smaller than like this one here. And it might be an optical illusion, but just, double check that. Like chain reaction looks very small compared to all day, every day. And I do think that all of those song titles could be bigger, like even the ones that are appearing to be bigger. I think they could be 1 or 2 points even larger. And it looks like you have room for these um, columns to go further this way. So I don't think it's going to mess you up. It's not going to make things jump up to the next column or anything. Okay. Great. Cool. Good job. Excellent. This looks really good. Be sure to have your duh. Sorry. I was gonna say, be sure to have your underdog records on here. It's already like as gigantic as it could possibly be. I love the font choices for this. It's like classic 70s record labels, so I think it looks really nice. Good job. Good job on this trim version with, eliminating the color inside the center hole there. That looks good too. Yeah, everything's great. Good job. You made a cassette tape and it's purple. I love it. Really nice details with these yellow lines here on the label. That's cool. Sorry. Great. Looks good. I like the track list there. Good job. Really nice. And the cover looks awesome. Cool. Okay. Oh, that's funny. Great. I love it. Really cool. This looks good too. Ooh, I like that logo like that there. That's a good choice. Really beautiful. Excellent. So this one is more consistent as far as all those headers go. So I don't see anything different there. I mean, I don't see needing any changes there. I'm just looking for any widows and orphans, and I don't see any, so that's good. It doesn't really look like you have space to go larger on these titles. What you could do instead is go a little smaller on all the body copy um, by like 2 points to make it so that the body copy looks smaller than the headers. One more thing here is when the word come and drop down, we have a larger line space between those two. I'm looking if any others wrap, but they don't. So I think you should just select from 2 to come in with the apostrophe there, and then reduce your tracking up to -25, but go by the smallest increments possible. So start with -5 and see if that gets coming to run back up next to had. If that doesn't work, then try -10, then -15, and stop whenever it works. But if it's past -30, don't do it. That's too far. Instead, just select this style and adjust the line spacing. Um, and I think that you'll be good to go there. Okay, excellent. Great. I love the little fingers over there. That's great. Yes, really nice. It is also my opinion that this project came together quite nicely. And I was shocked when I just read that you don't have a ton of experience drawing people and hands because they are gorgeous, like mind-blowingly good. So fantastic work there. I really do feel like it um, pays beautiful homage to the 70s, illustrations, like funk illustrations. So wonderful work. Like it's so beautifully done. I love it. It does feel airbrushed with the textures that you used and stuff. It's lovely. Like it is so good. And I do agree that the first logo, the primary logo, when it's small is just it loses a lot of the coolness. You don't see all those nice details in there. So, but the secondary logo on the spine of the cassette tape looked fantastic. So feel free to use that secondary logo on the record cover, even though it's going to be larger. Um, I think it's great. So, and then it won't be too much of like it won't pull too far from the illustration itself. You know what I mean? But we do want to recognize the band from the cover. You know what I mean? So excellent work. Excellent. I love it. Thank you so much. Next up is Christian. All right. Cool. Excellent. So on your final, just crop into um, this mock-up a bit. We don't need all of this background here. We just want to see your design like as large as possible. So just like crop it like this right now. All right, great. And then this one is good already. It has like pretty tight margins, so we're good. If you wanted to crop off some of the top and bottom, you can, but you don't have to. Good. Same with this one. Excellent. All right. Good. If you wanted to, you could pull this, like sample one of the colors in the background here, the darkest color there, and cover your flap with that color, but you don't have to. It's not mandatory. I've just seen a lot of designers do that. This looks good. All right, so let's talk about this design. I love it. It turned out great. I love the glowing of that you created, like the lighting, like this as a light source, and just how it gets like darker as it goes out. Beautiful illustration. And then this little light source down here is also a really fun little detail. Like this purple cast on everything, or like magenta cast, is gorgeous. This is beautiful illustration. Really nice. Really beautiful. I love all the little glowing red knobs too, and the glowing red buttons. Like this is really fun. I'm loving. I love it. It turned out so good. Like really, really, really good. So wonderful work. We have our band name and our album title right here. Looking good. This looks good. I'm into it. The spine, it does look a little thick. Let me just look at the. Okay, so I think I do recommend making the text a little smaller. I mean, it's not mandatory. It's gonna fold over the edges. You know what I mean? Like these lines here are a crease. So if you're okay with that text kind of folding over the edges, then leave it the scale it is. But if you want it to have a little bit of margin, then you're going to need to reduce the scale of that text, okay? I'm okay either way at this point. Um, I think you like it because it's the same size as this text here. That could be part of it. And I don't think it's going to be too distracting if you do reduce it just in the spine. So, either way, like I said, great. I think that's good. I love it. And I like seeing the record company label on the back too. Really cool. Nice work. I like that font too that you chose. It's really good. And then this is a light source. You better stop. I love it. Really, look at this highlight here. Like, so cool. Really great. Okay, then over here, yeah, this is looking really good. Let me see the trimmed one. Okay, cool. Um, great. Let me just look. I'm going to zoom in and go over this with my fine-tooth comb. Oh, sorry, I'm having some technical issues on my part. User error. Come on. Be cool, Acrobat. Okay, so I love this font ring. What I'm looking for is orphans and widows, and I'm not seeing any. Great. Okay, perfect. Excellent. So what you could do, also optional, is play with bringing in some colors from the cover into your headers here. So let me just go back. And we've got, I don't know about the yellow, but we've got this magenta, we've got some red, you know what I mean? Like a bit of a tertiary palette there. And I don't know if you would want to, I mean, if you really wanted to, you would have already done it, but is consider, adding one of those colors or glow, to maybe this part here or some of the headers. It's not mandatory, just a fun place to play with some more color. The background gradient is gorgeous and I love the texture that you used as well. So really nice. Good job on these trims and bleeds. Come on. Ay, sorry, you have to watch me fumble through this. There we go. Okay. Next up are the labels. Yeah, cool. I love it. I like that giant Nebula Records logo and that you're able to bring back the imagery from the cover. I think the layout's really nice. This is really cool down the side here. That's nice. So what I do recommend is the only thing, changing the numbering here from 1 to 6 to 7 to 12 for just your B side, okay? Leaving side A 1 to 6. Great. Excellent. Okay. And we went with a CD. Cute. Really good. Good. So when I'm like gushing over your work and I'm saying that things are cute and that I like these things a lot or that I love these things a lot, I don't want you to take that as not getting enough feedback because I don't love everything and I don't know how else to say that. So when I am like gushing and freaking out, it's very good feedback. Like it means you don't need to make changes. The project, that part of the project is complete. Check it off, move forward, and be stoked that you did an awesome job. Okay. I've had students in the past complain that like sometimes I'll go through the work and I'm just like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's so cute. And they're like, why aren't you giving me feedback? And I'm like, that is a really big compliment. Like it's good. It's good. So I just want you to know it's good. Okay. Now, good. Speaking of good, I'm just looking for the trimmed version. Okay, great. Yeah, really nice. Everything's great. So, the only other thing would be, if you do decide to go skinnier with this text, not skinnier, but reduce the scale so that it fits in that skinny spine, then I think you should do it on the CD as well. See how it's, right on that fold as well. And if you do make any changes to the colors of the headers on the record, I recommend doing that here too. But all the layout looks really good. All the formatting looks really good. So that's good to go too. Great. Excellent. That's nice. Really good. Great. Perfect. So I'm not sure why you chose to not go asymmetric again. And it's not that it needs it, you know what I mean? But it does cut off like part of this little cute machine here. And I like seeing the machine nice and big. I'm sure you played with it, but I just want you to know like this doesn't have to be different, like that different, just because it's a CD. So, it's up to you. You can totally leave it this way. If you do, maybe nudge this image down a little bit so that that part is not so cropped because this whole part is not going to print. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be empty. And this just feels a little bit awkward. Just, yeah, I think we just need to get the screen a little lower if you keep it symmetrical like that, okay? So this reflection was very enlightening for me because I'm just like, my mind was blown by these light sources and how they were, how everything in the image was reacting with these light sources. And here the secret is using Blender. I should have known. I thought you hand illustrated all of this because of the texture and stuff. Like so awesome job there. And I can see why it took a long time to, complete everything here. And you also mentioned that you were having difficulties with managing your other classes with this project. And a way that you could change that is by prioritizing my class over your other classes and just doing my work first. I'm just kidding. I know that's not realistic, but I'm totally messing with you. So the other thing is that don't tell your other teachers that I said to do that. Um, they'll hate me. So I'm glad that, yeah, I mean, I know that like doing the one with the bleeds kind of stinks and like doing this and doing that, but the ones with the bleeds is the one that goes to the printer. Like that's the one that the world ends up seeing, you know? And then the ones with the trims are what we use for social media, for t-shirt prints, like designs, So we really do need both of those and they both need to be great, So that's why I do this assignment because there's so many students that graduate that never have experience with templates for the printer. And then you have to figure that out on your own while you're getting paid by a client. And it's kind of scary. So that's why I just let you kind of, make the mistakes here with me so that they don't have to happen in the real world later. And then, but there weren't really any mistakes here. And then I, I think that like, um, I think you did a great job on your mock-ups. Like they totally work for me and for this. So they're really for your portfolio. So when it's time to lay that out in that class, you have everything. So great job. Thank you so much. Excellent work. Next up is Seekly. All right. Pretty. Really nice. Excellent. So on these mock-ups, they're beautiful. You can go ahead for your final and just crop into these like this. We don't need all this negative space out here because we really just want to see the details of all your work as big as possible, okay? Beautiful. Ooh, that's a nice mock-up too. This one can also be trimmed a bit. Excellent. Okay. Looks good. Good job getting everything pulled out to the bleeds. Lovely. So this is really cool, this collaging with the tape and stuff. I love the texture of the butterfly pages, like the blue parts there. It's really nice. If you wanted to make it look even more like they're kind of taped on, you could add a bit of a drop shadow, just like a very subtle drop shadow under, these rectangles here, but you don't have to, um, like we get the reference even without them. But I love these illustrations of the butterflies and how it, kind of goes across into the other image. That's really beautiful. It adds some really nice motion, and the color palette's gorgeous. Like I just love how everything's working together here. This smudged, like grungy Gothic font is really pretty. It looks really nice. And I think it's paired very beautifully with the font for your logo. And this is also a really nice font choice here. Really pretty. And this is cool. I love it. It looks so nice. This is all looks really good. Your spine, you need to rotate this text 180 degrees. We usually read the spine from top down and not from bottom up. So just don't mirror it or flip it, rotate it 180, okay? I also like all these little extra bars in the margins there. It's really nice. Beautiful. Really nice. I love this effect. It's really cool. I love it. I love these drawings on here. Turned out beautiful. Good job pulling everything to the bleeds. And that looks good. Good. All right. More little illustrations. I like these background details. Great. Let me look at the trimmed version here. Okay. So I'm just looking for any orphans and widows in your formatting, and I don't see any, so that looks good. Um, I like your font pairing here as well. That's really pretty. Don't know if you would consider making your titles even larger by a couple points and maybe even making them blue. Would you consider making them one of these blue colors? Just, whatever's the most legible. You don't have to make them blue by any means. It's just, shows off some more layout chops. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Oh, this looks really nice. Great. Good. Happy to see the logo there. Songs are listed correctly. It looks really nice. Beautiful. This texture in the background is lovely. Great. Okay, so I think that the trim is this line here. So just double check the template for me. It might be the margin, but I think this inside one is the trim line, and that this blue one on the outside is your bleed line. Okay. And so if it is that way that I'm saying, then just make sure that you trim them up correctly for your final presentation. Great, good mock-up. Really nice. Yay, a CD. Looks good. Easy. Yeah, good. It looks like you didn't have to do too much to the cover design because the specs are the ratio or dimensions are similar. It's like almost a square, like your record cover. So that's great. This is nice. I like the dark background on here. That's pretty. Looks good. There is a spine on the CD. Um, Even though this one, your spine is like separate. We'll see what your inside panel looks like. Yeah. So, you can add the name of the title. I'm sorry, the name of the album and stuff here if you wanted to. I'm okay if you don't, though, for this. And then this looks really nice. So, if you do decide to make your titles larger on the album cover, then make them larger here. And that light blue might be pretty legible over this dark background, so you could play with that too if you wanted to. Oh, pretty. Okay, so this part is not going to print, unfortunately, on the CD cover. So I don't know if well, you probably don't want to invert that because, well, maybe that would print. Yeah, that's fine. Excellent. So I think you did an incredible job with all of these textures and effects. Like it looks like you've been using those for a really long time. Like you totally know what you're doing. So that's fantastic. When I read that you typically don't incorporate that much into your work, I was really surprised because you did it very naturally. Like it's gorgeous. And then, yeah, I think it is like it's a really like almost like delicate and graceful approach to grunge, and I love it. It's like really refreshing. It's not too heavy, um, and it but it still takes elements from grunge, and the way that you combined it with the color palette and the fonts that you chose, it's just like this beautiful unity that you created. I love it. I really love it. And I think that there are little subtle things that are grungy, like I mentioned on the album cover, the little the font that you chose with the little jump in to make that smudge underneath it. That's a grungy text right there. But um, then, so if you wanted to, I don't know how it would affect the legibility, but if you wanted to add more of that, you could do that in your song titles uh, on your lyric sheet and stuff. Not that it's necessary. I'm just saying like those are other opportunities that where you could play with that if you wanted to. You said that you would maybe elevate it through introducing more subtle textures, compositions, and photography. I don't think there's a need for more sorry, excuse me, for more photography. Um, and that's the other place where you paid homage to the grunge was like the effects that you did on the flower uh, photography and the adding all those little hand-drawn elements is just it's so beautiful. Like it turned out really great. I think it's fantastic. Excellent work. Thank you. All right, next up is Shay. Oy, sorry about this, Shay. I'm off to a great start. Excellent. Okay. Cool. This looks great. Excellent. Good job. Good job on your bleeds. Excellent work. Hooray. Okay. All right. So here is, hold on, let me go back to the bleed page. Where? So this is correct. We've got our cover on this side, our spine here, and the back of our track. So over on this side, flip those two, give me a flipperoo so that the front cover is still on the right, the back cover is still on the left, and I can see your spine. So I want to see all three of those there. I'm sorry, I got to go back one more time. Great. So the spine looks really good. There's a little bit of yellow maybe on this left side that may be encroaching on the back panel. Because see how there's like a little bit of a lip here? That also happens here to that little thin red line that you see there. So just so you know, like you need to reduce the width of that yellow block, okay? And then expand the waviness on the back cover over to that red line. Excellent, okay. Um, yeah, this turned out cool. This is like super fun hand-drawn elements. The color palette is really fun. I love the vibrations between the magenta and the blue. The logo looks really nice up here. I think it's a good scale. And then these little typographic details are very cute in a good way, in a very good way. And then over here, we've got these flowers, which I like the effect that you have, but it did shift colors. So oh, never mind. Okay, I see. You're using the orange in your logo here. I was thinking it was just going to be like yellow and pink. So never mind. So maybe in this marigold up here, I don't know if you could make that background yellow be more of this punchy yellow. It's sort of got a little pale and it's getting lost back there. So I think if you could increase the saturation of that yellow to get to this punchiness, I think that will make this blue flower not recede into the background so much. This one is okay with the recession for some reason. I don't know if it's because the magenta is so punchy. It's creating enough contrast that it doesn't get lost. This one, the paleness of that yellow is making us lose the contrast potential. Okay, great. This is cool, this little layout over here. This is pretty modern. This is not something you'd really see, I feel like, in the 70s, like rotating the text like that with a vertical rule. I'm not against it. I just have to see if it shows up anywhere else in the work. So let me keep going here. I mean, you do have this line here. Okay, all right. All right, fun, cute. All right, so we've got our full color logo and our full color photo together. They look fantastic. We have these black and white photos that are really nice, but they are dark and gray. I don't know if you see that, but when we don't have enough contrast in a black and white photo, the eyes will just pass by it. So because you're working with so much vibrant beautifulness here, we really need to up the contrast. So your blacks are pretty dark already. You just don't have any true whites in these images. So what I recommend is in Photoshop, using either the levels or the curves adjustment layer, and then go in there with the white eyedropper that's available in either one of those adjustment layers and clicking on the whitest part of the image. So in her image, her teeth aren't going to really be the whitest part. It's going to be one of these highlights here, you know, or maybe even a highlight in her glasses. You got to zoom way in to click on the right spot, but you'll see the whole image brighten up. Like right now, these kind of look a little like underexposed, you know. And then over here, same thing. Click on one of these reflections, like on the guitar or up on the microphone. See if you can get some white out of there. Same with him. He's got, you know, some reflections on his glasses, on the guitar. This guy's going to be a little harder. I don't know if there's any white in his shirt. By looking at the color photo, it's also hard to tell. So that one you may need to kind of hand adjust in your histogram, whether it's in the curves or levels adjustment layer, but just, you know, make it look like the others here. You know, the other thing you could do is you could merge all four of these into the same layer and then click on one of them and it'll adjust the whole thing all at once. So there's an option. Okay, let's keep going. Good. I like that pink frame that you created too to kind of connect everything. Okay, this looks like it's not the right dimensions, but I'm going to keep going here. Let me see. Okay, this looks correct here. So I don't know if your template got a little squished. See how this doesn't look like a square? Maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. Okay, cool. That looks cool. All right. I'm just looking for orphans. So right here, the word glass is considered an orphan. An orphan in formatting is when you have one or two words that altogether, including punctuation and spaces, you have 7 or less characters on a line by itself, usually at the end of a paragraph. So to fix that, there's 2 ways to fix it. You can either select for this one, I would select the 2 lines of text, like highlight it, and then go into your tracking and reduce the tracking by negative increments, like 5 increments at a time, up to -25 at the most. So start with -5. If that doesn't make the word glass run back, like jump up onto the line above it and join the rest of the line, then try -10, then -15, -20, up to -25. If when you hit -25, if glass is still on a line by itself, go back to 0 and then place your cursor in front of the last word on the line above it and do a hard return, which is where you hold down shift and hit return, and it'll drop that word down onto the line with the orphan, so it's no longer an orphan, and it doesn't give you a full return where you have an extra, you know, line spacing like this does. Okay, great. So I'm just looking to see if you have any more here, and I don't see any, so that looks really good. Good job. Excellent. Good to go. Just the one. All right. This looks good. Hold on, let me go back and so you've got all these colorful backgrounds, right? From the front cover on, but then you've got black and white here. Why? I say keep that color going. You know what I mean? Go for it. And then I'm happy to see, you know, Prism Records here and their side A, side B, and your track list. So with the track list, you can go in there and reduce the spacing between the number and the song. That's just in your bulleted text settings. And same thing over here. With the side B, I recommend changing this songs 1 through 6 to songs 7 through 12. Okay, lovely, good. Well, hold on, let me look at something. So this second line here, this is the trim line, whereas this blue outline is the bleed line. So on the trim version, I'm looking for just this mesh space, like 1/4 of an inch. So make sure for your final that you turn in that it is, these ones are cut on that trim line and not on the bleed line. Okay. Yes. I'm so happy to see an 8 track. I'm so happy you took this on, Shay. Way to go. Great color. I love it. So any changes that you make to the album cover artwork, I recommend making them to this design as well. But this looks good. Good job. 8. Ugh, I'm so happy. This looks so cool. Great job. This looks so legitimate with all the fine print down here. I love it. Great. Awesome. So it doesn't look like you made the sleeve for the 8 track, so that is also part of this. So make sure that for the final, you also have the sleeve. You don't have to, for the final, you will not need to turn in like the bleed version. It will just be the trimmed version and the mock-up. Okay. I understand your concern about making things repetitive, but you could, if you wanted to change that, you could. Like for this part here, you could just make all this type bigger and put 6 tracks on this side and 6 tracks over on this side. Then you're not using the same image 2 times, even though, it's not immediately recognizable as the same image because of the fun effects that you created. Um, so I don't really think that there's too much repetition. Uh, people like seeing pictures of the band. That's one of the reasons that they buy the the artwork, the album, I mean. And then um, the only thing that I think doesn't really fit your genre is this part here. This is a little more, it's just not something you'd really see on, I feel like on a psychedelic album. And you could just simply just delete side A and side B from the track list. Like you don't need to have them on this part. And then that'll fix that real fast. If you had this element throughout other parts of the design, then I'd say keep it, but I don't see any rotated vertical text anywhere else, so you might as well just get rid of it. Okay, great. And yeah, I think you did a lovely job. I love all the vibrating colors. The textures are really nice, and I can see that you had fun experimenting with things, and the font pairing's really good. So excellent. Thank you. Next up is Day. All right, let's see what you got. Cool. Great. So I loved this concept in your sketch art in your thumbnail sketches, uh, just for your personal portfolio. And for the final, when we have mock-ups with a lot of negative space, I like you to crop them down like this because I want to see your artwork as large as possible. Like I want to see this part. I don't care about all this negative space. You know what I mean? So just a heads up there. Excellent. What's going on with this slide? Okay, there we go. Excellent. Okay. Sorry, I missed this one. Okay, let me get it down here. So that looks good. And I see our spine there. Looks good. You may want to add the logo for your record company on the back somewhere. But I love all this. I love it. I love it very much. I think it's so cool. So cool. This is neat too. I don't know what's going on there in the image, but it looks really cool. It's a really cool effect. Ooh, very nice. That's fun. I love that you brought the circles back too. That's lovely. I'm going to zoom in on these in just a second. Okay, let me go back. Sorry, the way you exported this is a little goofy. I can't. I'm going to see if Acrobat will let me. Okay, cool. It's letting me. Okay, let me go to the next one. Really? Okay, now I can get in. Come on. Come on, Acrobat. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that looks great. You know what I love is the texture of like the punchedness. So it looks super three-dimensional. I think that's really beautiful. And this font is so great with these holes. I love it. Okay, let me check this part out. All right, so what I'm looking for here is, it's a nice little drop shadow you made too. So I'm looking for orphans and widows. And it looks like you took care of them all, so I don't see any that need to be changed. Good work. Great. And then I think this is where our fold is, and so that's why there's only, why this column was pushed out that way. So that looks good. This is fun. Excellent. Okay, and I'm gonna zoom in. All right, so with these labels, you're gonna show me the label full size, like not what it looks like on the record, because I already will see that in your mock-up. So I think that, yeah, so this part is gonna be, this whole thing is the black sticker, right? So I can see things really large. And then you're going to trim it so the black circle will go all the way out to this dotted line. That's your bleed line. Where you have it right now, that is the trim line. So that's where you'll cut it out to show me the trimmed version. Yeah. Okay. And then I'll be able to see everything nice and big. Let me see if I can zoom in to give you any feedback on the formatting. All right. Can't really see it. I can't tell if those are your track lists because the text looks the same on both. So you just want to make sure that you have the record company logo on both sides of your label, and that you have your track lists. On side A, it's songs 1 through 6, and on side B, it's songs 7 through 12. Okay, great. Beep, boop, boop. Excellent, you made a CD. Oh, this looks very good. Perfect. Okay, so we are using one side. Okay, so on this, so I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, I'm fine with it. So we're just using the lyric sheet. Looks like it's just one side of one page, right? Usually it's going to be at least 2 pages because this is going to be very hard to read on one page. Like this text has to be tiny to fit all of that on like a 6 by 6 piece of paper, right? So I do recommend making it 2 pages like your record cover, but it's up to you at this point. And then the CD label, this is correct. It does go across the entire CD, and you only need one of them because it's not two-sided. So looks like all you need to add to this is the record company logo. You do not have to put the track list on the CD label. You can if you want to, though. That's totally fine. Okay. I also think that it is uniquely one of a kind. I love the way it turned out. I think it's like, one of the cool things about 80s new wave is that some of the designs are so like modern and clean, and I feel like you really got that mixed with some of the punkiness of, like you said, of the buzzcocks and stuff. So I think you did a wonderful job marrying the two. The photography that you chose is gorgeous. I love all of the texture that you applied. The font choices are fantastic. It's really cool. The layout choices are also really neat, like incorporating the neck of the guitar to break up the columns was really fun. So yeah, I agree. I think that the CD insert, that's the only part, the lyric sheet that kind of needs a revisit because it's just going to be, the font's going to be so tiny, it's going to be pretty impossible to read with the naked eye. So, but other than that, it's fantastic. Next time you export your slideshow, though, could you please make sure it's just exported as one slide and not as a spread, okay? It's just easier for me to see everything. Thank you. All right, next up is Brianne. Woo! Here we go. Cool. Very fun. So on your mock-ups, if you could please, for the final, just go ahead when you have a mock-up with lots of negative space around it. Sorry, let me try this again. I want you to really crop in tight like this so that I can see all the details of your work, okay? I don't need like the extra gray space. That turned out great. I love this image. Lovely. All right. Okay, great. Okay. Thank you for specifying this. That's really nice. Okay, cool. So I don't see the spine on this one. Let me go back to your um, mock-up and see if it shows on there. Sorry about that. Okay, so you need a spine here. Oh, it does. It's very tiny and subtle, I think. I'm going to zoom in. No, maybe that'll help if I deselect here. Yes. Nope, there's not any text there. Okay, so the spine is going to be here, and that's where it shows the name of the record album, the name of the band, and then sometimes even a little icon from the record company's logo as well, okay? So that you can read it when all your records are stacked on the shelf. Let me go back to these. So the spine is missing, but this all looks really good. I'm not sure what this red line is around there. So you want to, I'm sorry, I'm just getting a little bit confused. The red line is the bleed. Okay, got you. So you are going to have your photo, your background photos extended beyond the bleed. So all the way to the edge, the very outer corner. Okay. And then the trim line is the blue line there. Okay, got it. I got it. I don't know why we're getting a white line here. That's the whole point of the bleed going all the way out. So on the trimmed version, you're not going to show, this panel down here. You'll cut it like this, and you will definitely not have any white showing. So just for your final, when you turn in the trimmed version, if your slide has texture that's not, if it's not just a white slide, then you have to make sure there's no white that accidentally got, um, into your little, your sample there that you cut. Okay, so as far as the artwork goes, I love this cool like box background or like empty room background. I like the textures that you're using. We have this duotone photo here that plays off nicely with your logo up here. Yes, and I like this color palette with like the magenta, the almost periwinkle or indigo, and then with this like buttery yellow. It's really nice. So what I'm thinking is, the scale is a little bit off because of how the composition is broken up. So what I recommend you doing is dividing this square into thirds, okay? And the flower is about the right size to fall right on that first third line. You may need to raise it up just a smidge, but then the next third line is going to fall about here. And I think that you should, instead of just moving the photo of the people up to meet that line, I think you should increase their scale until the tops of these gentlemen's heads start touching that line there. And then that's just going to balance this composition a little bit more. Um, it's going to feel a little more grid-like in a good way, okay? Like I just feel like you can never fail using the rule of thirds. So right now you're not using the rule of thirds. You are centering your composition, which is also fine when both sides of the composition are very symmetrical. They're almost symmetrical, but we've got a logo up here that is not lined up with any other elements in the composition. So to fix that, when you have your first line of your rule of thirds line up here along the top there, you can also increase your logo. I think your margin area is good, but increase the logo so that the baseline where it says raining roses touches that line, okay? Here, let me just draw it here so we can see. It's about like that. Uh, so yeah, so increasing that. And then this rose could overlap the logo, I mean, a little bit, and that might look kind of cool. So um, you can also nudge it down though, like depending on where this petal, this leaf falls, that could be where it also lines up with the top of the logo. So just play with that, see how you like it. You could also, split your canvas this way too, like by thirds out there. And then just make sure that that logo doesn't go beyond that third, like encroach on these two thirds. It stays within its own little top third itself, okay? Then on the back, so this one is falling right on that third about. Yeah, that looks about right. So I think that's okay. I don't think it needs to be moved at all. Over here, let's just play with this and see how we're looking. Oh, I guess I was off a bit. So this is perfect over here. Don't touch that. We are good there. Yeah, I think that looks fine the way it is. Good. So over here, what I recommend doing is bringing in this same green. Like instead of turning this into black and white, why not let that green be over here too, you know? These photos, on the other hand, are too gray. Um, there's no true white and there's no true black in those photos. So you need to adjust their contrast, and not by using the contrast adjustment slider or um, auto contrast in Photoshop. What I recommend in Photoshop is either the curves adjustment panel or the levels adjustment panel. Either of those panels will have a white eyedropper in them. And you take that, you take that white eyedropper and you click on the lightest part of these images. So there's these cars in the background that will have like a super hot highlight on them. You can click on those. If doesn't look like anybody's wearing a white shirt. Maybe there's a white stripe in his shirt. She might be wearing a white shirt. I'm having a hard time telling. She's got some white in her jacket, and she might have a little white in her shirt. The necklace may have enough highlights on the necklace to click on those. You know, so just find the whitest part in the photo, click on it with the white eyedropper, and then using contrast or levels, it's going to give you perfect balance of contrast there. It's going to give you super dark, rich blacks in the shadows and in the areas that are supposed to be black, like in somebody's black hair, that kind of thing. And perfectly, beautifully crispy whites, whether it's in the highlights and or in their white clothes, like in the lightest part of their white clothes. So it's going to look awesome, and you'll really see it just explode off the page, okay? All right. Sorry, I was looking at this one here. But same thing goes. So whatever you do to the cover art on your album, you're going to also apply to the cover art on your second music media. Okay, great. And then this picture is perfect. I love how everything looks. I don't think you need to change anything. Really fun. So cute. These outfits are incredible. So good job on that AI prompting. I think it turned out wonderful. I love all these roses too, and like the paint. It's really neat. Cool concept. Yeah, I think it's working. Nice, nice work. All right. So with this part here, the I'm just going to look at the fonts you'd used in the other places real fast, okay? Okay, great. All right. So we're using different fonts, or at least one of them. So I would bring in the same font that you used on your track list on the cover, instead of bringing this new serif font in. And then play with, for your headers, bring in some color. Like you've got all those, you got the blue, the magenta, and the buttery yellow. Now all of a sudden we're like using this color. And while it does kind of complement this, like the sort of warmth in this photo, it doesn't really have anything to do with like this art, cover art, you know? Even though this is like warm and grainy, it's still very punchy, like the colors here. And then this is like gray, grayish, kind of creamy. So I don't really recommend that. I'd say throw in that yellow butter color as your background color, and then um, play with your headers with the blue and magenta, just to bring in those fun colors again. Then while um, this artwork is totally fun, it does not feel like it's from that era, and it also doesn't feel like it's part of the rest of the album cover design. So instead, bring in these roses, like a drippy rose, or just some of the leaves, the leaves from the rose or something like, I think, and you can have them coming in off the edge, like they don't need to be in complete view, or something. It's totally up to you, but yeah, it's just not feeling, this part's not feeling as cohesive as the rest. Right. And then this is a new design with these elements here. We don't have anything like that in the rest of the design, right? Yeah. So like while New Wave can feel like there's a lot of random things, um, and there is, I think that you're already sort of marrying some of these random elements, like the flowers with the paint and the confetti-ish feel, you know what I mean? And so I say keep those three things and place them throughout the all of the elements of the artwork of the album cover. So instead of adding just um, new little things that aren't anywhere else in the artwork. All right, so then this looks good though. The layout of with the logo and this logo and the album cover and all this and this small type looks really fantastic. And you've got your pink back again, so I'm totally digging that. And I like your font choice here, so you're good to go with that. I just don't think you need these parts here. I think you could bring in other elements. So maybe whatever you decide to bring in here could be repeated some here if you want to. Great. And then, like I mentioned, whatever changes you make to the record cover, make here. This can still be the same layout as the back of the record cover. You don't have to change the layout completely. Um, but if you do want to keep it like this, which is fine because it's now kind of all centered and pretty symmetrical, what you could do is to make it even more symmetrical, you could right align your side B songs. You don't have to though, because sometimes right aligning a numbered list can make the numbers act a little strange. They do prefer to be left aligned when you're making a list or working with bullets. But you could play with it and see, how if it looks okay. And then if you when you change the contrast on these photos, make sure you change them on this one too, okay? Great, that's cute. See? Yeah, I like this a lot. I like that. So we've got our rose with the drippies and we've got our color palette and it's looking nice. We got this butter color for our text and I love it. I think that looks great. So whatever changes you make to the lyric sheet on the album cover, make here too. And then I don't know how many pages. I think that you could do 3 columns. You know what I mean? Oh, I see. It's like a page per song. Got it. Okay, so with these kind of columns, yes, I do think there's room for 3 columns if you're keeping this font size. Um, and then having your elements at the bottom. So just shorten the height of these columns so that your negative space goes along all 3. Because right now, this 2 column format with the size font that you have is giving us these big old gaps here, and it's just looking like this second column is just almost randomly floating. So you can fix that by making it 3 columns that are just shorter columns with negative space at the bottom, okay? Great. And then there is room for something here, even if it's just this rose again, nice and big, might as well do it. Great. So we are missing the spine on the CD too. I don't know why your templates didn't include that. I'm sorry. That's probably my fault. All right. So this is a really cool concept, and I kept referencing, not referencing, but I kept mentioning like paint dripping, and not that the rose is melting. Um, and I think it's because the rose doesn't quite look like it's melting. It does look more like it is painted, and maybe it's because I have Alice in Wonderland on my mind all the time, something like that. But um, either way, though, I feel like whether somebody interprets this as like the color is like dripping from the rose versus the rose is melting, like either one, I think it still will illustrate the concept that you're trying to get across, and I think it's still successful. And I really like it in these images. Sorry, here. This definitely feels more melty, feels more ice creamish, you know what I mean? So it might just be that one on the cover, but I think this displays that nicely. And you could even use this picture in here. Then as far as your illustrations, I know you spent time on them and they look great. So what I recommend doing is saving these for your t-shirt illustrate, like a t-shirt design, or for your pyrotechnics, uh, um, sorry, pyrotechnics project for the final, so that they don't go to waste if you don't use them here. And then one more thing that I was thinking about while I was reading your reflections was that if you were to take this design, like I mentioned, and divide it into thirds, I said increase the size of this so that the top of their heads touch here. But actually, what would be better is increase the size of it so that their eye line is on this line right here. So they're going to be kind of a lot bigger, but trust me, it's going to look great. I promise. And if that means that this is like dripping, in front of them, I think it's okay. This one drip could be behind her so that it doesn't, affect her face. Um, yeah, I think that's all right. All right, great job. Thank you so much. All right. Next up is Vanessa. Great. So on mock-ups, I like to see the artwork as large as possible with like minimal negative space around it. So I just recommend for your final coming in and like giving it a nice crop like this. Okay. Same so that you can use it on your final portfolio website, so that it shows up as big as possible on people's phones or computers, whatever they're viewing your website on. All right. So this is the front and back. Okay. And okay, so the front is always like a front cover, whether it's a book or a record, is always going to be on the right side. And then the back cover is always going to be on the left side. You also need I'm sorry, my thing is freaking out. Okay, you also need a spine here that has the band name and record name, album name on there. And you can also have like this little trumpet turned sideways, like some sort of icon or something from the record company's logo. could be, on the spine as well. All right, so this is um, I'm looking at like your color palette and stuff, and I'm just trying to see how we could maybe narrow it down a bit or make it feel more balanced. So I see some green here, but it doesn't show up like anywhere else, I'm wondering if maybe that green could appear in these stars down here again or in this font down here. Um, let me return to this. This text is very big, and it's also uh, format, like laying out a list in a paragraph isn't ideal. Like I do recommend breaking it up so that it is a list, like song one, song two, song three, a stacked list, right? So you could reduce your font size and make this a list that's not centered. Everything is centered here, and centered composition does work when everything is symmetrical. So, it's working on the album cover. But so this is not feeling very 60s psychedelic. It's feeling more vector artish, right? Because you're using clean, crispy vector lines. It doesn't feel hand drawn in certain aspects of it. This font is very fun, and the cloud mimicking the shape of the font, this part does feel more hand drawn. These elements feel more hand drawn because this is like not a perfect, arc here. So that's great. This background, while they do use arrays in psychedelic art, that's fine. But then this is where we start losing it down here, is in these perfect shapes, right? Also, you don't see a lot of lowercase text in psychedelic art. So I do recommend considering making this all uppercase, all the letters in it, and see how you like that. And then this barcode just needs to be reduced in scale. It's just very, very large. And this looks great, so that's good. Um, and let me see what else you got here. Okay. All right, so the inside is very minimal. All right. So hopefully, I mean, you have some images of the band because that was part of the second assignment was, getting some images of the band. You're also going to need some for other stuff, the other assignments, and I don't see them. So if you have images of the band, that would easily, go here and maybe even here so that you're not just sort of repeating things everywhere. I just feel like these perfect stars are really making this feel computer generated, whereas you want to make it feel, more hand drawn. Um, and then also, so looking, this is a great start to this. I think that instead of having this whole page dedicated to this graphic that is like introducing the lyrics, I think instead you might want to, sorry, I'm having so many issues. It's not your thing, it's my stylus here. Okay. I recommend having 6 songs on one panel and 6 songs on the other. Then we can increase the size of the font, and it will be just much easier to read because right now this magenta, see, I can't even tell. Let me see. Let me zoom in. It looks like it's magenta font on a darker magenta background, like pink font on a magenta background. But it also looks like it might be yellow font on a magenta background, but it just is so small. Maybe it's a yellow font with a pink stroke. If that's the case, get rid of the stroke because we cannot read that. And then, but it might have just happened in your export when it exported to a PDF. There could have just been something in that conversion that happened to the colors there because the text is so small. So to avoid that, We just need to make it bigger. And to make it bigger, we're going to have to use 2 pages to spread songs out, okay? But what I do like is how large your headers are. The fonts that you chose here are great. And yeah, maybe the vibrating color is not ideal for reading, for reading small text. So consider maybe not having this body copy of each song be something that's going to react with the background to where people aren't going to want to look at it for very long. Okay. And all right, I'm just looking for the trimmed version. Okay. So the um, the labels are they need more space for the background color uh, for the bleed area. So your trim area is going to be about, I can't draw a circle with this, but it's going to be, about 1/4 of an inch from the edge here. So your bleed will go all the way out to where it is currently. Then you'll have a trim area here. Then you'll have a margin that's about another 1/4 of an inch. Then your text will be within that area, okay? So you'll have to reduce the size of this text to fit there. Then you're also going to have a circle punched out of the center of this. So you're going to lose some of that logo there. If you're okay with that, that's what I'm okay with it. And then you'll also need the logo for the record company to be on here somewhere, okay? Great. So then the trimmed area, the trimmed version will get rid of this extra 1/4 of an inch of blue background space. So then all you'll see is like this trim, then about 1/4 of an inch, then your text below that, okay? All right, so this is the 7-inch, great. This is working better for me. Like I really like how this is, more organic and there's not any, super sharp corners of computer generated shapes. So I think I really like this a lot. This is feeling more hand drawn, more organic. The limited color palette is also very attractive. The contrast of the text color versus the colors for the array are looking really good. So I think this is even more successful. This is good. Then you stacked your tracks. Okay, so with a 7-inch, that is a single. And on a single, sometimes it's just one song on both sides. It's like 2 different versions of it. One could be like the radio version, and then the other could be like the extended version or the demo version. Um, or you could have like an instrumental version or a demo. I'm sorry, a single is actually 4 songs at the most. So it's 2 songs on the front, 2 songs on the back. And it could be like in current times, you could have different remixes of the same song. So you'd have the regular version and then 3 different remixes of it. Or it could be 4 songs from the album, which is more likely what the 7-inch would be from back in the day. So uh, instead of all 12, you're just going to pick 4. And then let's say that the song that you chose is Sunshine Love. You would put Sunshine Love here instead of debut album. So we're no longer using the name of the 12-inch record. We're using the name of the single as this record name. And then on the back, it's going to say Sunshine Love, and then maybe like Sunshine Love Instrumental. And then on side B, it'll be In the Clouds and Mystic or something like that, right? It could also just be Sunshine Love In My Thoughts on side A, and then on the back, In the Clouds and Mystic for side B. Great. And then so your lyric sheet, this is very cute. This turned out great. I like these stars a little better. They don't feel as computer generated, even though I know they are, because the sides come in and they're pinched in the middle. It feels a little more hand drawn. You can also rotate these a bit too, like each one, and you could even round the points, but you don't have to. They're cool the way they are. But I do recommend rotating them a little bit so they feel a little more random. And then you would have 2 songs lyrics on this side and 2 song lyrics on this side. if you have the 4 songs. And then or one per each page, whatever you want to do. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. Okay. And then same thing goes with this one. So the single album is going to have a much larger hole in the middle. But you still need like that bleed area, the 1/4 of an inch, the trim area, the 1/4 of an inch margin, and then your text smaller inside that middle ring. So and then you wouldn't have 12 songs listed. You'd have 2 songs on one side, 2 sides on side B, and you still need your record company logo on there. Okay, great. But yeah, this more limited color palette is really nice. I'm excited that you had a chance to, practice new things and get an insight into what it's like to make things for a printer. Um, and I understand, lack of time. What I do want to mention is there's no, for this class and like these projects, I'm not looking for a mix, a balance between modern elements and 1960s era aesthetic. I'm looking for recreating 1960s era aesthetic. So I'm not trying to challenge you to make this look like something that could be made today. I'm trying to challenge you to make it look like something that somebody confuses with actually being made in the 60s because it's so authentically 60s. You know what I mean? And that just challenges you to like try out new textures and try out new filters and try out new ways of laying things out that, you're not used to doing because of your um, education so far uh, being so centered around making things look like super modern or even futuristic, like I think being able to make things look vintage is also just a gigantic boost in your portfolio, showing diversity in your abilities. You know what I mean? So, okay, great job. Thank you so much. Excellent work, everybody. I love these.